Welcome back to another episode of the Block Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's going on, dude?
On the 6, we got TJ.
Hello.
All right, we're back.
Halloween edition.
That's right.
No fit.
Yeah, you didn't wear your meme coin Moses.
I've already returned the outfit, dude.
Oh, no. You weren't supposed to say that out loud, dude.
Why, dude? What do you mean?
It's
The meme is dead?
No.
I don't need an outfit to embody the spirit of meme coin
I don't
Moses,
know.
dude.
I think you do.
I simply need to, pull out this little scrunchie here, and he's back right there in an instant, dude. But he's, I guess, officially an alter ego of mine.
Yeah, but the impact is not there, dude.
Dude, come on, dude. I don't need a cosplay. I'm not LARPing here, dude. It's real. These prophecies are real.
That's true.
Dude.
That's true.
It was just a one-off introduction, But meme coin Moses is in all of us, dude.
It hit pretty well.
Did it? I think it did. People say it's like, they felt the spirit, dude. They felt the touch.
Well, I certainly felt it.
I'm sure you did, dude. But we're missing and we keep forgetting to put the tablet.
That's right.
The tablet of truth.
Yes.
Displaying the NAT logo icon in all its glory. Should become like a permanent fixture from here on out, but we keep forgetting to do that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, ever since the NAT token's been going absolutely bananas.
Correct. Yeah. So we've seen a 400% return.
I wouldn't say all that.
Right?
I don't know, like 300 to 400%, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a lot.
I think it was around 4 to 5 million market cap. You're right. Since whenever I put on the garments, I guess.
Yeah.
But so a lot of things have been happening, dude. The market has been, I think, picking up and understanding the potential significance of what the NAT token is and what it represents. And we have an interesting inquiry lately from somebody who shot you an email.
Yeah, let me pull that
and
up.
He was essentially asking okay, I see what you guys are doing, but how does it all tie together? Because you guys have been talking about a lot of things over the last year, right?
Yeah, so the question is, hey guys, enjoy the content that you put out here. I'm a NatCat owner, and I also own several parcels in the Natrix. Unfortunately, I'm not technical at all. The concept of DMT resonates with me, but how it all ties together with the NAT token, metaverse creation, creator communities, and the overall usefulness and its potential adoption by the masses, I don't understand. Can you do a podcast for dummies that breaks things down in a non-technical way so that I and others can actually explain what this is to other people? And thanks.
Yeah, when you told me this, I was like, damn, that is a very insightful question, right? It's somebody who's definitely paying attention.
Yeah.
And I can understand why, you could lose the pulse, right? Because we are definitely doing too much at once, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's objective, right? And we feel it every single day, just because there's so much it's so hard to contain everything, even for ourselves, into a cohesive vision, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's there. Obviously, we've had this vision from the beginning, but the introduction of DMT definitely expanded on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then by introducing that, there's so many new development I guess considerations to support this and incorporate that into the original vision of one of the things he says here is metaverse creation and creator communities. That is literally how we started this whole journey, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all the podcasts throughout the years, they've all culminated to this, is answering this question is why we do what we do. Essentially, it's all this is combined. It's really all one thing.
Yeah.
And it's to build the metaverse in a Web3 ownership kind of style.
Correct. So it's an interesting, paradox, I guess, is because if you've been following along the journey, you understand, our conviction hasn't wavered at all.
Really hasn't.
Even though it seems like maybe it has, because there's been some pivots along the way, right? Hey, we're not building on Polygon anymore, right? Or Ethereum. We're building on this Bitcoin ecosystem, and we've contributing to the infrastructure of that. But still, so what are we doing? What did all these contributions lead to?
The metaverse.
The metaverse.
Yeah.
We're still, the thesis is simple, right? We're to create an actual metaverse economy, we must support the creator, the developer.
And why would you build a metaverse on Bitcoin?
Why would you?
Why wouldn't you?
Oh, why wouldn't? Yeah. Well, through this evolution of this whole Bitcoin ecosystem, and we're witnessing it like transform before our eyes, right? Where things are starting to align and make sense, and it's not just coming from Tap alone. There's many contributors kind of arriving to the same destination, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. So we call it like the tentacooling.
Yeah, watch our previous 2 videos.
Yeah, and like so, like everything's culminating at the right time, right? I mean, we know a massive bull spike is on the way for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And what does that typically do, dude? I mean, we've witnessed a few of these already.
All the boats rise.
But pretty much, right? Yeah. So when Bitcoin goes ham, a lot of people just all of a sudden become interested in like the space all over again, right?
Yeah. So so it's like we're talking about the pivots. Is like why Bitcoin? Well, it's like the most important chain that humanity has ever seen.
Yeah.
Right. We were just talking in a Twitter space on how Bitcoin's not even worth the market cap of gold right now. I mean, sorry, silver.
It's getting close.
It's silver is 1.9 trillion and Bitcoin's at 1.4.
Yeah, and silver's been surging a lot lately. I think at one point Bitcoin did actually like surpass it.
Yeah.
But then silver like recently has had like some like uncommon movements. I mean, a lot of it's factored in because of inflation and different like macro conditions and such. Same with gold.
Yeah.
Right. But still, we're right there neck and neck.
Yeah, I remember when gold was worth 11 trillion. Now it's worth 19.8 trillion. That's a 2x, dude.
Over what, like 8 years or something? Like 6 years?
No, less than that.
Like 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so there's some macro factors again. There's definitely people preparing, I think, for
the money machine is printing.
That's another good point. Yeah, that's part of it too.
Yeah,
you got to spread this liquidity somewhere, right?
Right. So it's like, okay, so we're on Bitcoin because it's the most valuable, most important chain. Then it's like, okay, why are you guys doing DMT? It's like, what does that have to do with anything? It's like, well, it's a recognition of value generation coming from the most important chain. And then it's like, what does that have to do with the metaverse?
Yeah.
It's like, well, the metaverse Bitmap specifically is non-arbitrary, that it's leveraging on-chain like patterns to generate this Bitmap metaverse on Bitcoin. And it's like, you can now we took that value proposition that Bitmap is, and we created a framework around it called DMT.
Yeah.
And now you're generating assets with the data of Bitcoin.
Yeah, so that I think came with the understanding of the complexity requirements for actually building a sustainable metaverse economy, right?
Right.
It's like a large segment of people within the Bitmap community don't understand that, right? So they're much more like advocates of, all we need is Bitmap. We don't need any additional assets as part of like this landscape. Right? It's all you're doing is bifurcating liquidity is how they perceive that, right? But it's not the case, right?
Yeah, for those people who believe that, watch our previous video.
Which one?
The one that came out Thursday.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that and like
Bitmap video.
That and do a little bit of like, I don't know, like economic research, I guess.
Yeah.
In like the most respectful way to say that, like, just open up some economic books, literally.
Yeah.
Just to kind of understand how, how complexity of like the commodities markets and all the different like different financial instruments essentially that aid into like the stabilization of all the different activity happening without like our modern society, right? These things there's many different individual pillars that contribute to essentially having enough stability within like everything that's happening to where we can, be unencumbered by like the probabilistic, I guess, scenario of like not knowing how we can properly transfer value from one end to another of the globe and such. So we could focus on things like innovation and, actually building new value as a result of having economic stability, right? So that requires, so if we said one word, commodities, right? Commoditization of things. Like these are new token instruments, essentially.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be new for anybody on Bitmap. I mean, Bitmap commoditizes the creation of a metaverse. Now anyone can contribute to building out what they think the metaverse is.
Yeah.
Versus like something like Decentraland or Sandbox or the other side. These are one person's, one group interpretation of what the metaverse is. and it's not necessarily correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So assuming you agree that, you know, the metaverse it's going to be a multifaceted, rich commodities space, and that's going to be what contributes to a lot of like the UGC activity.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like, okay, so what is the best way to go about like introducing new, I guess, token vectors into the economy, right? So we felt like, you know, maintaining that principle of Bitmap, the fact that what made it unique in comparison to every other metaverse out there is that non-arbitrary nature. Right?
That's right.
That it is leveraging like these incredibly like powerful innate properties of Bitcoin itself, right? Like the energy contribution to like creating this data substrate, right? Which it's in every single block.
Yeah.
Right. It's there for the taking, for the utilization. It's literally a substrate.
A low entropy state. Yes.
Yeah. So Bitmap was the first to like really like take full use of that, right? And produce something actually tangibly valuable as a result. Like we have a real new commodity in the market that people really revere, right?
Yeah.
And they see the potential in it, and that's not like the end of it. There's like an infinite array of different creations we can kind of like follow up with.
Interpret with the block data. Yeah.
So that's the purpose of the DMT framework, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So let's talk about the first thing created through the framework, right? So we talked about Bitmap and its potential and like its part in all of this.
Yeah, the first asset was the NAT token.
Yeah.
The NAT token. Yeah, so that asset was basically taking the bits field of Bitcoin and converting that hex value into decimal or numeric. And then that numeric value represented how many fungible tokens you minted when you minted that particular block.
Yeah.
Absolutely novel for its time. And people were profoundly confused as to what you were exactly minting when you were minting one of these blocks.
Yeah, a lot of that was like confusion around like the naming of it. You know, some were referring it to as like a NAT map. So there was an instant like, I don't know, feeling of like infiltration, I guess.
Yeah.
But all it simply was is, again, leveraging the substrate of a block to create a new asset, right? So Bitmap was a non-fungible creation.
Yeah.
These are fungible tokens.
Yeah. Right?
And again, the first time a fungible token, you know, up until that point, every single token that's ever existed in this $2.5 trillion like digital ecosystem that we call crypto, some human being is like the actual like authorization like entity that determines like how many of these things exist.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody had to manually input. You know, I feel like 1 billion sounds sensible to me.
Yeah.
21 million Satoshi had to manually put something in, right?
SHIB, they chose 1 quintillion.
It's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Is there any inflation to SHIB? Do you know?
No, it's 1 quintillion.
It's just 1 quintillion forever. See, so it's like it's arbitrary, right?
Yeah.
So once we started thinking about that, like, dude, all these tokens are just literally spun out of thin air. There's really nothing that's like factored into their genesis, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of weak.
Lame.
Yeah, it's kind of weak after seeing like a whole metaverse land ecosystem emerge non-arbitrarily. It's like I feel like the tokens now are just all of a sudden weakness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need to apply that is the principle of that the DMT NAT framework enables. Right now, you can again latch to the data of Bitcoin that is immutable and forever like secure, and again derive new value out of that and new creation.
Yeah, you mentioned DMT NAT framework. That is digital matter theory non-arbitrary token framework. Right?
Yeah,
there is a token called NAT, which is supposed to be the non-arbitrary token, like as a title, as a name of the token. Yeah. But people can confuse the framework with the token, with the theory and its applications, because there are many, including Bitmap. And so there was a lot of confusion there, but
that's true.
It's all kind of the same thing.
Well, that's how we want it to like resonate with, you know, just to tie together all these like these segmented camps that shouldn't happen in the first place, right? Like really, this is like a collective effort again to kind of like push forward this whole new paradigm.
Really, the collective effort is to punch up, right? Not punch at each other, but punch up to something like Roblox, $30 billion market cap. 70% of all the revenue goes to Roblox, 30% goes to the creators.
Yeah.
That is an injustice in the context of Web3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think so, right? And just just punching up in this also, so punching up can have, I guess, different like interpretations, right? You want to identify, like you said, an injustice, right? So Satoshi thought, like, the TradFi and the existing monetary forces of our macroeconomic state, like, there's an injustice, right? There's a lot of risk to that.
It absolutely is, because they control how often the money printers are on.
Yeah, they've fully exercised that over the last several years, right? So this is like no secret anymore. Like, everybody's well aware, like, there's a problem here, right? So Bitcoin was like a potential solution to this this big bad wolf in the room, right?
Yeah.
So that is kind of like the prevalent ethos of Web3. Like, that's kind of like the energy we should all maintain. So, like you're saying, the metaverse has a big bad wolf, and that it is very like exploitive of creators and doesn't really return value to the user base itself. It's more like just pure extraction mode. But that's the Web2 business model, right? That's how these businesses sustain.
It's been like that for 20 years.
Right. So there's punching up at that, right? It's like, we don't like that. We want to kind of like, distribute the value being accrued there to the community, the ecosystem itself that supports creators, more livelihood across the board, et cetera, right? That's good. But it's also like punching in the sense, like introducing a new like purpose and value proposition for Bitcoin itself, right? Because there are some future considerations as far as like maintaining the security of the network. We want
100%.
We want to make sure Bitcoin, like, in light of the future where at some point there will be no more Bitcoin to mine, right?
2140.
Yeah. But the metaverse is supposed to be a forever component of like our reality, so Bitcoin, being that we're building this non-arbitrary framework on that, once there's no more Bitcoin subsidy.
Yeah. What's to sustain the network in terms of security?
And therefore the metaverse, right? If we're building like a pillar of creation, like where Bitcoin's at the center, the root of all of that, we got to make sure, what's being built is going to maintain that security down the line and just continue for Bitcoin to, I guess, strengthen as a network, right?
Yeah, since 2010, Bitcoin has had a subsidy, right? It started with 50 Bitcoin for every block, and then every 4 years it halves. Now it's like, I think it's like 3.125 per block, and so it keeps halving all the way to 2140.
Yeah,
and in 2140 there's no more subsidy,
right?
And so if there isn't a velocity of Bitcoin, meaning if people aren't actually transacting with Bitcoin because it's a store of value and like all these countries are holding it and no one's spending it, then what's there to sustain the network, right? So you need incentives to actually send and use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And those incentives include something like ordinals and then, potentially DMT, right?
Yeah.
And so these incentives encourage people to actually spend Bitcoin and therefore pay the mining fees and therefore sustain security.
Correct. Yeah, so that's, I guess, potentially disruptive to like the Bitcoin maxi camp, because they want to see like a persistently, I guess, low fee environment so that it can be, I guess more.
Yeah, so you can send $1 trillion with like 30 cents.
Yeah, or I guess like buy a cup of Joe, right? But I mean, that's what the Lightning Network is for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Buy like a cup of coffee.
That doesn't seem to work out pretty well.
Yeah. So regardless, right, there's going to be other vehicles to achieve that. Essentially, you can have like stable coins pegged to the value of Bitcoin. And like now that's like a legitimate vehicle.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin is maintaining the value of that. Now, like, it's still part of that whole spectrum of utility, I guess. But the point is to expand on that. So, there's more sustainability for Bitcoin down the line.
Yeah.
Right? So that's, from my interpretation, another way to like punch. Not necessarily like your punching can be, interpreted as like a bad thing, but
no. Punching up is always what you want to do.
Right. So another word for that is just having like big goals, right? Big ambitions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And so now going back to kind of like the metaverse is like we have Roblox, they're worth $30 billion and they have almost 100 million daily active users. And it's like, right now, Roblox is extracting most of that value that's being generated. Users are just spending their time, and yeah, they might getting some entertainment, but from the Web3 sense is like they can spend the exact same time and actually accrue value. And so, but we need to build activities that encourage that 90 million, 100 million people to come in the Web3 space. And so, but there's new dynamics, right? It's not developers making fun games.
Right.
Like that is like the only factor that you have to like optimize for.
Yeah.
It's like developers have to make sustainable like functionality, like applications that generate revenue so that the landowners can purchase that asset, deploy it, and push that asset to encourage people to come in and interact with that thing, pay for that thing's output, and then that output gets distributed to the landowner, the creators, the developers, and all that stuff,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so that design requirement is much more challenging than just like make a fun game.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a whole new model, I think. So we were talking about like just how stagnant gaming has become.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on Call of Duty 6 or 7 now.
I mean, we started with Nintendo, right? Super Mario. So we've seen the spectrum of like progress, and
yeah, we were
that
there.
progress was fast and furious.
Yeah, kind of like where we were with where we are with the exponential growth of AI.
Oh yeah.
That's what it felt like growing up in like the video game era. Like it felt like every year there was like giant leaps.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember like playing, I don't know, like retro, like Red Alert or something like that. You know, like a strategy game. It's like, dude, I was having a blast with this, but graphically, like a couple years later, like the whole game is just completely different, right? I guess. Yeah. And then like that continued on, and it just manifested. And then all of a sudden, I'm playing an MMORPG that's persistent, and it's like a shared virtual world that never goes offline. Well, sometimes it did.
Yeah, it is.
It always would come back.
Yeah.
Thankfully. But yeah, like my interpretation and understanding of like this gaming thing, it's like, wow, it just keeps evolving, getting better and better and better. But it seems like,
and all of a sudden, it just like
we've like topped out.
Yeah, it's like the difference between the last two Xboxes or the last two PlayStations.
Yeah,
they're practically the same.
Aren't they just like getting slimmer?
Yeah,
kind of
like
more like storage space and like slimmer, sleeker.
Yeah, but even if it's sleeker, even if the games are like higher resolution 4K, 240 frames per second, like all this stuff, the games are the same.
Just about, yeah.
They're the same.
We've been literally battle royaling for like the last
decade,
10 years almost,
Yeah.
And then so what's going on with Roblox and like Fortnite now, like I guess taking more of like a metaverse angle to things. It's like creating more like dynamic creator abilities essentially, right? Like that,
leveraging the developer community to like build new experiences.
Yeah, that seems to be like the direction, right? Like the gaming industry has identified that. It's like, so that way we're not burdened with having to like come up with all the new innovations, right? Like let the community figure out like where is the demand and what should be built, right?
That is the same way the metaverse is going to get built, is through the developer community.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's a largely part of our focus, right? So this email talked about Natrix parcels and like Bitmap and all this stuff, right? So all that's being tied together. But again, like we feel like the introduction of DMT as a main component to all this just adds that much more value to it.
Yeah.
Right.
I totally agree.
Yeah, by associating it to something that's unique, again, that nobody else who's building out like metaverse infrastructure is even thinking about this, right?
Yeah, I mean, just don't even think about DMT from the technical perspective, like, thermodynamics and like the fact that it has like so much energy input. It's creating this low entropy state, and throughout the entire history of humanity, we've leveraged low entropy states such as oil, diamonds, commodities, right?
Yeah.
And so forget about that. Right. If we were to build a metaverse on Bitcoin is going to outlive you. Right. We can assume that.
Yeah.
Right. So building a metaverse on Bitcoin means the metaverse is going to outlive you. Right.
Yeah. And
so we need to build a framework that has sustainability that outlives you. And so that's what DMT is.
And by essentially, because the creators will die at some point, right? But by seeding Bitcoin essentially with like the ability to perpetually generate these assets indefinitely.
That's right.
That's what you mean by it's like a future proof.
Yeah.
I guess like asset generation vertical, right? Like that is the point. Like, leveraging Bitcoin's innate properties of feels like becoming to almost like a lifelike entity, I guess.
Yeah.
That's how some people are interpreting it, like witnessing Bitcoin starting to produce its own assets. Essentially, it's like almost like it's taking its first breaths.
That's right. Yeah.
And I like that. I like that understanding, that interpretation of things. I feel like that's a pretty powerful narrative, pretty powerful like mission alignment. Again, just punching, but not in a bad way, towards Bitcoin, just to like support it, make sure it has like this maybe like a new interpretation that people find more valuable and interesting than like this financial aspect of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not many people are financially literate. Like there's actual statistics out there.
Shocking.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, I wasn't. This isn't something that's really taught.
No,
like,
that's true.
In like school curriculum, right? You have to kind of like learn this shit on your own.
Yeah.
And so that's step one, learning how like finances work and like the importance of managing all that.
Yeah, I remember when I first learned about how money works, I was so shocked.
Right.
I couldn't believe that money just came out of thin air and like it was just an imaginary like thing.
So how many people do you think actually understand that? Like what you understand? If you're to have like a percentage.
Maybe like less than 2%, 1%, maybe.
Okay, I think this is actually Googleable. So let me see. What is the percentage of like financially literate?
Financial literacy is not the same as understanding where money comes from, I don't think.
Probably not. But it says, according to recent studies, around 50% of Americans are considered financially literate.
Yeah, financially literate means that you can pay your bills.
Right. So the definition is having a basic understanding of financial concepts like saving, investing, that's a big one, and managing debt.
Right? Yeah, but that is like playing within the box.
Okay.
You need to look outside the box and like understand what money is. And that's what I don't think many people understand.
I wonder if that's like a stat, who understand what money is.
Where money comes from.
Let's see. According to recent data, this does not look like it fits within my search. It's talking about like wealth distribution. Google, or I guess it's Google's AI. I didn't really understand what I was asking it.
Where does money come from? How many people know where money comes from?
Well, the point is, it's like even like coming to that like question is like step one, like understanding that, and then
it's becoming aware of your environment is to even formulate that question.
Right. Yeah, and then so by becoming aware of all this, like now, like you can truly understand, I guess, the value of Bitcoin.
Yes,
after that,
that's right. Yeah,
it like kind of falls in place once you understand like the flaws of like the financial system.
Yeah,
Bitcoin all of a sudden makes a ton of sense.
Yes,
but my question is, how many people are thinking about this? I don't know. I guess there's no real data to indicate.
I think probably most people in crypto who are not like only there to like try to get a Lambo right. probably know this, that money's being printed out of thin air and it's an imaginary concept.
Okay, so most people in crypto, you say?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like the crypto space would attract these type of people who are thinking about this, right?
Yeah, so how many people are in crypto? Let's say like 400 million, 500 million. So that is a pretty significant
6.8% of the world's population.
6% people know. Let's say 5% people know that money is like a figment of an imagination.
Yeah, like so the other 2% like lingering in the space, they're just like straight degens.
Here for the Lambo.
It's like, what do you mean this is digital money? Like,
yeah,
I just saw a number go up.
Yeah,
that's all I care about. Yeah, I guess so. That means we're left with 95% of people.
Yes,
who are not like looking at Bitcoin as anything as, value to them, because they don't identify with the idea of like,
that's right,
financial conundrums or like, the dilemmas of like our monetary value of things. Like,
correct.
So that's a significant percentage of people who I think need a new like vector, I guess, to pay attention to in regards to Bitcoin.
So 95% probably don't know like how all this works, but probably the majority of those people feel like there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like
for sure,
there's something that's not working for me, and I feel like things are stacked up against me.
Yeah,
but they don't know what it is.
Well, it's Trump's fault. or it's
Right.
it's Biden's fault. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like the default. Like,
Yeah, but
who do you blame for my?
You're in the
misgivings?
box in the United States, but most people who are not in the box.
So
They're-
then, what do they refer to? Then it's the United States' fault, you
Right,
know?
right.
Somehow,
Yeah.
you know, we fucked everything up. And
Right,
they're
right.
probably like right to a lot of degrees, you know.
Always.
Probably
Always.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, but that's it. As far as you really need to go with it, you know.
Yeah. That's their rationalization of why their existence is like not what it could be.
Yeah, I guess just just
Because it's always environmental. It's always like it's out there is the problem, not me.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure everybody, no matter what pocket of Earth you're on, like your government is
Yeah, screwing you.
yeah. You're thinking, you're perceiving.
You're probably
your
right.
Government is the problem, like always, and it usually is the case, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a complex discussion, which is again why only like probably 5% of people actually truly understand that and
Yeah.
see the value of Bitcoin.
5% of the people have the luxury to even like think about this stuff.
Correct, and are now positioned
Yes, accordingly. That's
to
right.
buy Bitcoin essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I mean, how else do you explain Michael Saylor only talking about buying Bitcoin all of the time? That's all he does. He's got an entire company that makes billions of dollars,
yeah,
and they are taking loans not to create a bigger business,
just to buy Bitcoin.
just to
dude.
buy Bitcoin, and that is creating a better business for him.
It is. That's crazy.
It is the best performing stock, better than Nvidia over the last couple of years.
Wow. And Bitcoin hasn't even
It hasn't really
launched
done
yet.
much. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So I mean, here he goes again, dude. Just kind of like bringing all that bullish sentiment back to the market, like he did
Yeah.
last cycle.
But you know what? He hasn't really stopped talking about Bitcoin, even in the bear cycle.
Absolutely not. He kept buying too,
Yeah.
as you should.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, but yeah, he's
But he understand. My point is that he truly understands.
he's about it.
Yeah. He is about it, but he understands like what money is.
Yeah.
And if you understand what it is, then it is a no-brainer to understand the true value of Bitcoin. It's not $70,000. It is technically more like infinite.
Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, so the point I'm trying to kind of like arrive at, I guess, is so those people exist, the Michael Saylors of the world.
Yeah.
So they're very, like you're saying, they're in a luxurious position of being like super early because
Yeah.
they understand like the initial value proposition of what Bitcoin is. So what we're saying is there are more like hidden value propositions to Bitcoin that are just now being, I think, discovered through DMT.
Yeah, 100%.
All this stuff. And people like Michael Saylor have said
He said digital
similar
matter.
things. He said digital matter several times.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think people have figured out a way to kind of like encapsulate it and make it into like
Really leverage it. Yeah.
Yeah, leverage it. And it's like proliferate that into like I don't know, like we're expecting it to is like a new primitive essentially in like the digital landscape, right? So we understand it, we can perceive the value of that because we're building these like virtual constructs, right, in the metaverse. So
Yeah.
it just tangibly feels different whenever you're building in the metaverse. And you're like you're building something without that. Like it's just again, just like tokens that are spun out of thin air, they seem like they have less weight to them.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So like a 3D asset that exists in the metaverse that's just spun out of nothingness
Yeah, it's
has nothing of value associated to their creation, as
Yeah.
opposed to here's a metaverse with everything associated to the value of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And again, like this digital matter manifestation process that's unlocked now. Right?
Yeah, I mean, think of it from a different perspective, right? So in the Twitter space yesterday, we were talking about how Bitcoin today is not even worth as much as silver, right?
Mhm.
And then gold is worth about 20 trillion, and Bitcoin is worth 1.5 trillion,
Mhm.
right? And let's say 10 years, right? So 25 years of Bitcoin, it's going to surpass the value of gold.
Right.
In 25 years, an asset that was generated by a human being outproduced 1,000-year-old valuable
Or
commodity.
however long.
It's a billion-year-old commodity, but it's been recognized for 1,000 years as like a valuable store of value.
Correct.
In 25 years,
Yeah.
that is what exponential value is.
Yeah. It is what like technology represents, right? Like technology does this in like all degrees
Yeah.
typically. Like I know I don't know, like the implementation of like the industrial age, what that did for like our basic motor abilities,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Most of our progress has occurred in the last 100 years. We've been
Yeah.
around for roughly 200,000 years,
Yeah.
and 99.9% of our progress has occurred in 100 years
Yeah.
because of the Industrial Revolution.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and it's interesting to think about. So along that same line of thinking and expectations, it's like it always it should be like some sort of law. I'm sure somebody.
Yeah. Metcalf's law.
I guess. Yeah, I guess. NatCat law.
Soon.
That will be the new law, dude. But yeah, it's like so Bitcoin has shined that growth expectation whenever you're trying to create a new money essentially through the leveraging of technology.
Yeah.
So like building out like a virtual economy, I think will follow along in that like footstep, right? Like once we actually get to a point where we like get to a Bitcoin moment where like you can actually start sensibly building out like a virtual economy.
Yeah.
I think you're going to say the same thing maybe like 25 years down the line. It's like, look, we've come to a point where like the collective GDP of this metaverse economy is about to pass like the real world
100%.
economy.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like it took humanity like thousands of years to figure out like the proper economic models and like how to identify, true scarce commodity value and such, how to incorporate that into this economic system. And but in the digital space, just because technology and I guess like the idea of digital access, it's just so much more ubiquitous, right?
Yeah. If it, the analogy, we have 1,000-year-old asset in gold, and in 25 years, Bitcoin surpasses it.
Yeah.
We have, let's say, 100 years of economics, and then in 25 years, you have the metaverse GDP surpass physical GDP.
Yeah. Or at least compete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin hasn't passed off like everything yet, but it's like in the realm now. So that's why we could talk about it. We could say these things. It's demonstrated like something unfathomable. Like it's introduced as a legitimate asset within our like economic landscape, and it did so in 15 years.
You know what's crazy is that 50 years from now, they're going to look back at like what happened in the last 50 years, and what we're saying is going to be like, wasn't it obvious? And we're having to kind of like interpret this in real time and sort of project like what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is much harder to do, but
super valuable though. If you could
it
do
is,
that,
if you could do that, then you can position yourself properly.
And that's the whole point of this like experiment of like, navigating these waters of crypto and blockchain and such so that we can arrive to a sensible thesis, I guess, of the future. Like what is this all going to like lead to?
Yeah. And 50 years from now, when they're looking back at today, like they're going to say like this should have been obvious because of Bitcoin's like fundamentals didn't change in 50 years. It's the same.
Yeah.
And it's like now that it's like worth, let's say $85 trillion, like, people will look at Bitcoin as like, yeah, I mean, this is like, no big deal. Like this is like an obvious thing.
Right.
Right. And so, but yeah, I mean, just understanding that in the future, what we're saying is just going to be commonplace, just like cell phones are commonplace today. But in 1970s, when people were talking about you can talk to each other with like a device in your pocket, like that was crazy people.
That's right. Yeah. So what's the craziest thing we could think of? I mean, there's a lot of crazy things I think we've said.
Shit, a $30 trillion GDP in the metaverse. That's pretty crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah. Like,
but I mean, people have predicted that already, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. People, but I guess maybe like piecing together how that will happen, I guess, is like saying things.
How will it happen? Now that's challenging. But I mean, we don't have that many options. It's just like it's commerce.
Well, I mean, that's how we interpret it, right? And that's what we're building towards. That's what makes the most sense to us. So again, to wrap things all together, it's like, just piecing together all these individual, I guess, new vectors, right? So we identify them all as essentially tools, right? Like when you're like a scientist, you're trying to, I guess, discover something new. We feel like the more tools you have at your disposal, it increases the probability of like some type of breakthrough.
Yeah.
That's how we feel like the introduction of like DMT and non-arbitrary tokens, like that's what does. If you view like metaverse developers as like scientists, architects, whatever of the future, we're trying to all figure out like what is the eureka moment for the metaverse, right? Where all of a sudden things make sense. So all we've done is push out a new tool, right? A new thing that can be utilized to build out different economic designs and build out different future primitives on top of that.
I don't know. I think you're setting yourself up for failure when you say eureka moment, because I don't think there will be one. Instead, like, you know, what's that guy's name who created Roblox?
Oh, damn it. We had it earlier.
Well, he created Roblox. He's still the CEO.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you when he did so, there was no eureka moment. There was no like, for sure, we're going to get 100 million people daily active in this shit.
Yeah.
There is no
David Bazuki?
David. Yeah.
No eureka moments.
No, that will not happen. And to expect that, I think you're going to be disappointed. So I think instead is really starting from the base level, kind of like how we talk about first principles. Is like, what is responsible for a multi-trillion-dollar GDP in today's environment? What is it? It's like leveraging commodities, right? That is what started all of this, right? With the Industrial Revolution, coal, right? Oil.
Correct.
Right. So it's like, okay, so it's going to be commodities. It's like, okay, what has been done with those commodities? Is it like it's generated power? That's what they've done. And that power has been leveraged to create more stuff like eventually AI, right?
Right.
And so we need to think about, it's like, well, how do you even like start an economy? It's like, well, you need to produce stuff of value that people are wanting to pay for. And it's like, well, what is of value in the digital realm? It's like, well, typically it's applications. That is what's valuable. That people pay for applications. I mean, you look at any AI project out there, every single website has a pricing page.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Correct.
Right. That doesn't exist in crypto. Like there is no pricing page in any of these like Web3 sites.
Well, that's because of the typical, it's like a token incentive like model as opposed to like a Web2 business model.
Really, there's no products there, dude.
Well, I mean, tell that to the Tensor community, dude. I think they're out there outputting some.
Yeah, but you know
products.
what? They're asking for payment for a lot of that stuff. That's what they're doing.
I think that's what they're doing now, but they're gonna discover real quick that's not how you like. That's not how things work in this sector of the world.
So
dude.
What you're saying is Web3 has different business models. But my point is that there needs to be output from these applications.
Of course.
And so you pay for these applications in whatever business model that makes sense in whatever network that you're in. So in Web2, it's like pricing model. In Web3, it's like buy the token. But my point is that you're essentially paying for application value, right? It's the output of the applications. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now it's like, okay, now you understand where the potential of value is, right? Because we're talking about physics again with potential. And so now you need to produce that potential so that people can extract that potential energy and then create value out of it. And then it's like, that's how you build everything out. And then all of a sudden, 20 years from that, it's like, oh, that's the eureka moment. There's 100 million daily active users in the metaverse. Is like,
yeah,
there's no way to pinpoint like what was that.
Well, I don't know, dude. What if DMT was that?
Maybe DMT probably sparked that. Yes,
that's simply what I mean by potential eureka moment. You know?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I guess big things have small beginnings.
Yeah, and exactly. It might not be perceivable as that, but if things actually pan out and there is like rampant. You know, this everything we're doing works out, right?
But then that's like saying the internet was the eureka moment for Roblox.
Well, not the internet, maybe like whatever the foundational layers that compounded into becoming today's version of the internet, where we're gonna have like these mass scale multiplayer shared environments.
Yeah, it's like networking.
That's a eureka. It's like eureka.
Yeah, microtransactions.
Yeah,
all this shit, dude. The different like built-in channels within like the multi-layer infrastructure of the internet, right? Like DMT is without a doubt can be one of these layers of the metaverse.
It's gonna be it's gonna be like networking. It's gonna be like the internet, like microtransactions, like these little like wins for humanity, like put together. You have the metaverse.
Yeah. So correct. So if we're saying DMT, like Bitmap, DMT, you know, these are foundational starting layers, right?
Yeah.
I think it's safe to assume like more will be introduced down the line. And That's what I mean by eureka moment. Yeah, right. People probably won't realize that's what's happening in real time.
No, they won't. Yeah.
It's a matter of whether or not like the continuation of layering like compounds
it
down the line.
Gets leveraged. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets leveraged, adopted, and then like that's how you achieve like real consensus among like the actual builder community, right?
Yeah. Then 50 years from now, when people start to like dissect like what the hell happened, they'll be like, well, you had Bitmap and then this thing DMT. It's like that's the eureka moment.
And then MML on top of all of that.
Yeah.
And then who the fuck knows what else, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
It's like metas.
Yeah, all of a sudden like everybody wants metas, right? And everybody's building and hosting and you have like real sustainable livelihood as a result of that. Like imagine that. Like that is the ultimate goal we wanted to arrive at, is because again, there's a lot of people out there that don't have access to economic opportunity. Like our physical world is obviously it's not perfect in any way.
Right.
Yeah, we talk about these people who are like, fuck, man, I'm obviously getting screwed somehow, some way. I feel that, but I don't know who to blame. I don't understand how the whole system operates and functions and how it's like it's designed essentially to like
keep you down,
ignore me, not factor me into that, right? So those people are largely stuck with like an unavoidable situation, right? And but by building out what we're talking about, this metaverse economy, now we've expanded the scope of access to opportunity, right?
Yeah.
That's, I think, is what was most insanely important in like.
That's what Web3 does. I mean, with Web3, if you're one of the billion people that are unbanked, well, with Web3, you just download an application and then you got financial services already.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like if you don't have a job, that's what the future metaverse leveraging Web3 will do. Yeah. It's like there is purpose and role for you to participate in, right? In order to like sustain this digital economy. Like we need your contribution.
Yeah. If you don't have a job, it's funny because 20 years from now, like there's going to be like 4.5 billion people without jobs.
Right. Damn, we really need to write that book, dude.
Yeah.
That's what we feel like is coming.
Yeah.
We've been saying this for years, right?
It's funny. It probably won't be 4.5 billion people because they would have found their way into the metaverse, and it's like, it's just like the new economy.
Yeah, I think so. I think so that's what we can arrive to. And again, we have a whole generation of people like pretty basically training right now.
Yeah.
For that very potential reality, right? They're all in job training. Yeah. They don't even know it.
Yeah.
Right?
All 100 million daily active users in Roblox are training for.
They're going to be the future like managers of the metaverse, dude. They're going to be running shit when they're adults.
That's right.
Literally. And then they're going to be hiring like the following generation to come like,
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
I don't know. Maybe that sounds crazy, right?
When people are riding the Starship to Mars.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
They're going to be on Mars base.
Yeah.
Entering the same metaverse that we're entering.
On Mars.
On Mars, yeah.
Yeah, so like we can remain connected, right?
And there's going to be a Starlink network hovering around Earth, same as Mars, and that network is going to be communicating with each other.
That's right. Why bring that up though? Just because it's like,
well, because this is the new country.
Yeah.
It's like we're all
bitching about lag.
There's never lag with Starlink, dude. Actually, I've never tried it, but I imagine it to be a pretty good
I'm sure there's going to be some lag to Mars, dude.
Yeah.
Elon will figure it out, dude. We need to clone that man just to ensure.
We definitely need to clone that man.
Yeah. But yeah, dude. So damn, where do we take this? We took it pretty far out there.
I mean, we're trying to be not technical.
Yeah, right. Just understand the full scope, I guess, of the vision and how everything applies. Everything we've been kind of like introducing over the last year.
Yeah. So from our perspective, we've been talking about essentially the same thing for the last 5 years, but anyone who's been watching us may not have that same interpretation.
Yeah, you only have the context of like ordinals and the Bitcoin ecosystem and stuff. And
yeah, it's like, well, why are you guys talking about memes now? Or like, what other random thing have we perceived to be like talked about? Like, AI. That's pretty random. Well, it's still crypto, right? So
yeah, and it's gonna have everybody has to be at least paying attention to AI. It's gonna penetrate every single component of everything, right?
Yes,
so
yeah,
metaverse developers, you need to be thinking about
Yeah,
AI,
that's true.
right? And so we're building a creator infrastructure.
You know what we haven't talked about is robots.
In the
See,
context of-
we're not random, right? So
yeah, that's a little bit out of the scope, unless like while you're in the metaverse, you just want like a nice back rub from your little robot, your Tesla bot.
yeah, I thought you were gonna say there's gonna be some crypto projects like tokenizing robots.
Well, absolutely. At some point,
Yeah,
crypto, like it's a, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
it's a humanity preservation device. Is tokens, according to
Sam Altman.
not Sam, Jacob Steves.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's what aligns
Yeah.
artificial and non-artificial, I guess.
So Elon's answer is like, how do you preserve humanity in the context of AI? It's like, well, why don't we just put AI in everybody's brain with Neuralink?
Right.
And so AI would be disincentivized to kill us because they're part of us.
Correct.
And so Jacob Steves, the CEO of Bitensor, it was like, well, just issue everybody tokens that aligns the incentives of humanity and AI.
Correct. Yeah, man, that's pretty radical thoughts, but
Yeah.
I mean, again, things that need to be considered, drastically considered because of, I guess, implications of what AI can become. Like,
Yeah.
I think Elon said recently something about like, it's like a 30% chance AI goes bad or something, goes wrong or something like that.
Yeah.
30%. It's pretty fucking high.
It's high, but we also have a 70% chance that we're going to be just fine.
Yeah. But yeah, as time goes on, I think.
Yeah. What's the time, TJ?
We have 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay, well let's wrap it all back to again.
So what does the
original-
metaverse look like today?
Right. but more importantly, wrapping it all together, I guess, for in context of, this is all happening on Bitcoin, right? Which is, I think, pretty crazy if you're like in the metaverse space. Like, how the hell can you do anything on Bitcoin, first of all, right?
Yeah.
That's why this space has been so interesting to follow over the last like year and a half.
Dude, speaking of cloning, dude, I just cloned you, dude.
How'd you do that?
I have no idea.
Well, let me jump in there with you, dude. Oh wait, that's not me. Now I'm you.
Oh, what?
Oh, dude, I'm
Did
literally
we
you.
just swapped, dude?
We just like
Dude, Freaky Friday.
we just like quantum entangled it, dude. Did yours just crash? I was lagging.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm literally you. Look at this.
What?
That's you, ain't it?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
How the fuck?
Dude,
I
that's
just
crazy.
Isn't there a movie about this? Where
There
it's
is.
like Lindsay Lohan or something like that.
Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, you already said it. We Freaky Friday each other, dude.
What? But I don't see you running around in here though.
I know. Oh, I'm in the basket. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened, dude. While we were like talking, the metaverse just like,
Entangled us, dude.
that's cool. But yeah, to bring it back to what I was talking about, though, all this is happening on Bitcoin, and yeah, DMT makes the most sense, right, for Bitcoin, right? Just because it has so much tremendous like unique properties to it, like that other chains do not. Right?
Yeah.
So, but that's not to say like these principles can only be applied, I guess, to, I don't know, like a metaverse built on Bitcoin. Like I feel like the metaverse is going to be so vast, like even that won't be enough to support like the vastness of it.
Yeah.
But these things, again, these principles can be maintained like on other chains as well, right?
Yeah. I was just thinking, it's like, how do we spread the message, Moses? And I was thinking, perhaps like we need to open ourselves up to joining Twitter Spaces or other podcasts. So we're definitely open to joining some conversations about this stuff because
Yeah.
it's definitely worth inquiring about this.
Who? Inquiring.
Like other communities inquiring about, like having questions about DMT and like why DMT.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a couple different ways to talk about all this stuff. So what we just did, I think, is more like that was like our genuine like conviction coming out over the last like 30, 40 minutes. Then there's like I don't know, like the degen interpretation of everything that's happening in the space. It's like purely they're just looking for like the next narratives, right? That kind of like flare up and just grab people's attentions and such. And
Yeah.
so that's why, things like memes now become like part of
Well,
everybody's vernacular, right?
So yeah, but that is more of like a recognition of like market conditions. And if the market wants memes, well,
Yeah.
we got memes.
Right, but that's important, right? Is identifying like again, who's paying attention right now? Like we said, only 5% of people are actually like in crypto.
Yeah.
And like that is the market of, and so to expand on anything that's like emerging from this crypto space, you've got to actually be participants of the existing market, right? But that's not to say like this is what the market of 10 years from now will look like, or 20 years from now.
Yeah.
You know, when we have 30-40% like market penetration for all things crypto, you know, we probably won't be talking about memes as much and stuff, right?
No.
We're probably, I think the metaverse side of things will be in much more like front and center stage. People will be like, again, like you're saying, inquiring like more frequently, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And that's
So you're saying if anyone's inquiring anything, it's like, how do I get a Lambo?
well, that's like 99% of people, but like every now and then, like people see like how we're talking about like the NAT token specifically from like a meme packaging perspective.
Yeah.
Without understanding like where the market is in its current like interpretation of things. And like, hey, dude, it's like NAT is actually like way more serious than a meme. Like, so you're kind of like tainting what it is, you know, like by classifying it as one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've seen those comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would invite those to go back and rewatch our NAT video and understands like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of substance with NAT.
A ton.
But if you compare that to a meme, there's even more substance in comparison to a meme.
Yeah. Well, to most memes, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is like positioning this token, which again has like that Trojan horse responsibility in a sense, right? Like it's the least friction when it comes to like understanding how DMT is applied and like the value proposition to that.
Yeah.
And then like putting it again, exposing it to the largest demographic in the room, essentially.
Yes.
And what that does is it has like an intangible effect, right? Where that understanding, that shift in the zeitgeist, that now permeates throughout the entire ecosystem. And things like what we just talked about, a non-arbitrary metaverse, all of a sudden is factored in as like a significant like consideration moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh shit, yeah. Non-arbitrary tokens make a lot of sense for fungible tokens, right? The NAT token proved that.
That's right.
Like this is very interesting, novel, and new, and this is probably a better way to do things. So it's like, what about NFTs or
That's
UNATs?
Right. Yeah.
What about Metaverse land like Bitmap?
Yeah.
You know, what about avatars like the NatCat avatars or Bit avatars or whatever is classified as a non-arbitrarily produced 3D asset, right? So from us, that's what it feels like. Like that's essentially the strategy we're on, right? So,
yeah.
So I feel like some might not agree with it, but
yeah, and also the NAT token, it probably represents the best opportunity for a new person in the ecosystem to understand like what is DMT.
Yeah.
And like you know, from a meme perspective, it's like the most interesting meme out there.
I would say so. Yeah. So again, yeah, watch that video. What is it called? Bitcoin's New Mission or something like that?
Yeah, that's right.
It's got a giant buff dude. Kind of looks like the Prometheus.
Yeah, that's right.
Gods, and he's got a big NAT logo on his chest.
Yeah.
So that pretty much describes basically everything around the NAT token. So I think we covered everything, dude.
Yeah.
That from that email, it's like, how does it all tie together?
That was a good question.
I mean, it got us talking for an hour.
Yeah.
About it. It's one question, dude.
Yeah.
And we probably missed a bunch, you know. But
I feel like that summarizes everything.
I feel like we're gonna rehash that because we have a 1-year anniversary event coming in the Natrix, like in a few weeks. And yeah, it's probably like a good idea to kind of like essentially say the same thing.
Yeah. That would be an interesting presentation because we essentially want to do like a keynote, right? So we need to really hone down like the messaging here in this keynote.
Yeah, like what has been achieved through 1 year of like this DMT initiative, right?
Yeah.
That's important. So that's 1 year in the books. You know, we had NAT token, we had NatCats, and like the whole UNAT framework as a result of that. That was a big deal. Like literally a whole new interpretation of how to create digital art like resulted in that.
Yeah.
Royals, vessels, heroes.
Yeah, remember
like,
when
these guys.
When we created DMT, like we knew that something like NatCat was possible, like the concept of it, but we did not focus on that at all. Like
No.
our interpretation was like fungible tokens. That's where DMT is at.
So yeah, that's what again, that is an example of another eureka moment, right? Where
Yeah.
because the tools were out there for essentially third party contribution, you can view like EV as a scientist. He was like tinkering with this DMT framework. This tool is like, there's a way to implement like non-fungibility here.
Yeah.
And uniqueness to like these patterns, right? And it's like, oh shit, eureka, right? And we had probably like 20 to 30 new collections born as a result of that, following it. And yeah, so just like we said, these principles apply to the entire spectrum of like the crypto markets, right? So that's important to reflect on. And then so what's going to come next year?
Stay tuned. November 20th.
November 20th.
Jump into the Natrix with us.
Yeah. So we'll have more, I guess, like concrete details leading up to that. So definitely stay tuned.
Do we have a consensus on psychonats?
We didn't even put a poll out or nothing, dude.
I guess we'll do it right now.
Okay. And leave it in the comments. So what are the options? Let's run through it.
It's going to be astronats, psychonats, fanatics.
You're saying that weird.
He doesn't want that one.
Fanatics. It's like, dude, where's your phonics at, bro? All right, fanatics, right?
And then lunatics.
Lunatics. Yeah, so if you didn't pick up on that, all of those have like NAT embedded somewhere. So that's like NAT speak.
Yeah, and Joe, he came up with additional NAT speak. And one that I liked was NatFlex.
Right, but so what we're talking
NatFlex and chill, TJ.
Oh,
I saw that one.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Netflix and chill?
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
So right now we're nat flexing in the metaverse.
Nat flexing?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Hold on. Yeah, you're flexing your net. Actually, that's my net, dude.
I'm technically flexing your net, but
wow, dude. That's like some nat thievery, dude. That's not cool. That's a nat.
It's a nat poster.
Oh my god, dude. So yeah, I mean, just let's expand on this nat speak. I don't know, like this is playing along again with the meme ethos. We'll become like the most obnoxious community, I guess.
Yeah.
With as many different variants of nat.
It's okay. It's going to be $100 billion token anyways. It's okay to be obnoxious about that.
Naturally.
Exactly.
You're not ready, dude. What else? Nat gonna make it?
Yeah.
.com.
NatGMI.com, dude.
Yeah, look out for that. So yeah, we'll have a website and all that stuff pretty soon for the NAT token because we're going ham on this.
Yeah, we are.
Like
it's the best marketing tool, hands down.
Yeah, and we're gonna build, I think, one of the best communities in all of Web3. Like not just with this token, because all other meme coins, they don't have like a community of builders behind them.
No, they do not.
They're just a bunch of tokens.
GIF developers.
Right. So we have a unique, and calling it a meme coin maybe is wrong. Like it's definitely a mission coin, which is like the unicorns in the meme coin space, right?
Yeah, maybe we stop calling it a meme coin. It's a mission coin.
It's a mission coin. The mission is DMT. Yeah. And again, like bringing Bitcoin literally to life through DMT.
All right. The meme coin is dead. It's a mission coin.
All right. Yeah. NAT is officially Bitcoin's mission coin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll stop tweeting that it's a meme coin, dude.
Yeah. You ruined it.
No, dude. I'll bring it back. I promise.
All right, guys. That's it for us. If there are any questions about the Metaverse, DMT, NAT, NatCats, the Royals.
I told you we're doing too much.
All the other UNATs, the Natrix, the LDEs. If you want to do an LDE, hit us up.
Yes, please.
You want to make UNATs and avatars, hit us up.
Yeah. Block drops.
Block drops.
If you feel like making one, the tools are there, dude.
Yeah, there are more block drops incoming.
Yeah, you could block drop virtually anything, right? You want to block drop a fungible token to bitmaps? It's been done, but you could do it also. You want to block drop the block token? Yeah, I think that one has like around 800 holders, so that's pretty cool. I want to block drop a wearable to like a NatCats, so that when
that's been done, but you can do one for you.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you want people who have NatCat avatars to rock, I don't know, like pups, like gear
on their shoulder.
If you're, yeah, that'd be fucking sick.
Yeah,
whatever, dude. So the possibilities are endless, and they're only going to expand from here, I guess.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely follow our Twitter accounts. Subscribe to the YouTube video. And join our Discord.
And if you have more questions, leave them in the comments, like this one we addressed today.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.